It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Catafamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it is great to have you in studio with us today. We're sitting down with a new group that formed this year, Stewards of Sedona. Jason Danoff is in studio. Welcome to studio, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
And we were talking before the show, as we normally do, but this came to light earlier this year. So can we start with that? Maybe how did the Stewards of Sedona come about?
Certainly. So we all experienced what happened with COVID, and as a result of that, being on lockdown and, sort of relegated to staying close to the house, sort of gave up the rock climbing, the canyoneering, and the mountain biking to stay safe, and started doing a lot of hikes around the local area, particularly close to my house in Sedona. We realized very, very quickly, our community in Sedona, that the tremendous amount of trash, it was getting out of control. We weren't just seeing regular pieces of litter. We were starting to see diapers, loads of feminine hygiene products, tons of broken glass. And it quickly turned into a feeling that actually, something has to be done. You started to realize that there wasn't the same level of staffing and there weren't as many people at volunteer organizations involved. So we just started offering trash pickups together from the company that I run in Sedona called Trail Lovers. We found ourselves, just doing 1 to 2 day here and then a couple days there. And on one of the events, we found over 20 diapers. And one of our guides said we should really take some pictures and share this information to the public. Personally, as a local, it seemed that sharing that sort of information isn't in the best interest of tourism. Sure. I never wanted to share a side of Sedona that might make people think that perhaps it's not as beautiful as they hope. But in this case, it was so bad and so dramatic that you felt like something actually had to be done and that you did have to, unfortunately, bring that to the public's attention. So we shared some pictures, we shared a count of what we found, and we realized early on it would be good to keep a count of the items that we found and their proximity to the creek and their proximity to the road. Kind of in an effort to discern the who, what, why, when, and where of these issues. So you're collecting a lot of data too. Yeah. Well, that's good. Okay. Yeah, that involves sometimes some late nights, some big-time Excel documents. But it's important information, I would think. To me, it's the most important part of this. Right. Because being able to share exactly what we're finding allows us to share that information with local retailers, the Forest Service, the Chamber, the city, and if we can find what we'll later talk about, trigger points, I think we can really get ahead of these issues in the long run. So we found these areas, tree carvings, diapers, shared pictures, went viral, and it got 1.9 million views. And it was shared almost 30,000 times, and it had nearly 600,000 engagements. And suddenly thousands of messages roll into the inbox through Facebook where this was shared, people asking, how can we possibly help? What can we do? And these aren't just people in Sedona, Cottonwood, and the Verdi Valley. These are people from all over the country. People who are saying, I'm visiting, or I'm in New York, I have a trip planned in October, how can I be involved? I want to do whatever I can. That was overwhelming. That's pretty amazing, yeah. Somebody coming here on vacation willing to maybe donate a day of their time while they're on vacation to come and clean up. And I would say over half of the people who volunteered were people who lived across the country, even in California, Colorado, Washington, people who said that they have upcoming trips and they'd like to be involved. So we didn't want to, we still didn't want to be around people yet. The whole point of picking up trash and not opening our business while others were opening was to allow ourselves some space and some time to kind of figure out exactly how to best reopen in a safe manner for our community, first off, in Sedona and the village of Oak Creek. But secondly, also for the safety of our guides and, of course, the safety of our clients. So spacing and staying out in nature and picking up trash seemed like an obvious idea. Do some community service, let things calm down, and let us kind of get a grasp for exactly what we need to do to stay safe. And so we share that information, and suddenly all these people want to help, and a lot of people say, we got to do something, Yeah. So we tried to give them the information so they could do it on their own, only to then realize that people really wanted to be involved in a group. They felt more comfortable going out with other people, and they needed a little bit of guidance on exactly where to go. We tried to share that information again, still trying to keep a hands-off approach. Then we realized that, that we had to really capitalize on this opportunity to get people involved, because it wasn't just something that it had to happen. It absolutely had to happen. It was that bad.
Mm-hmm. It is that bad.
Yes.
We've had, I told you before the show, we've had Keep Sedona Beautiful in here. We've had the Red Rock Ranger District in here from the Coconino National Forest. Oak Creek Watershed Council comes in here. And it seems like you all the different groups have different different volunteer days where they go out and do cleanup. But you had mentioned before the show that when you lived in Oak Creek Canyon, you would go down one day and clean up someone's mess from the day before. And then you'd get up the next day and go back down, and now there's another mess, because Oak Creek Canyon doesn't slow down anymore. It's always busy. And it seems this year I'm hearing a lot more about what you're talking about right now, just because people feel, I think, safer and the safest being outside. Even if they're in a larger group, outside is better. So I think we have seen an increase in people in the forest and in Oak Creek Canyon.
Absolutely. Yeah. And where we're seeing the most, the most scary and perhaps threatening forms of land abuse or litter, these are the areas that are the most accessible. These are not the areas that you would expect to see them. Normally they're areas where we don't find signage. Google Maps, All Trails, especially Google Maps, allows people to share a specific place very quickly. You can drop a point, you could share it to somebody, and it can very quickly, many of these spots used to be considered local swimming holes. Mm-hmm. Now those local swimming holes have several hundred people there on the weekends, which is still less than Slide Rock. So I guess you could refer to it as a local swimming hole.
Sure. Are there keys? What are some of these key spots that you're seeing in Oak Creek Canyon? I want to say Grasshopper Point.
So Grasshopper Point certainly is one of the places that gets the most amount of the old gravel pits area. We've started to refer to one site as kind of we call it Ground Zero. This spot is located across from Encinoso Picnic area in an unsigned area. As you cross the creek in that area, it's a place that you wouldn't expect that would get that level of traffic. People park all the way along the roadsides there, and some of the projects that have been done have actually blocked some of those access points. But this area, just in the last few months, we started cataloging what we were seeing with tree carvings and rock graffiti to share that with Friends of the Forest, with the Forest Service as well, with some projects that they're going to plan to enact to recover the trees. Pretty interesting process they'll be using to do that, and some interesting psychology as well. But these tree carvings, we've seen them remove graffiti one week. They come back the next week, the graffiti is back again. They remove it again the following week, it comes back again. And it doesn't just come back to the same degree, it seems to come back with vengeance. What we're noticing is perhaps the indicator is the tree carving, right? So they remove the graffiti, but the tree carvings are exploding throughout that area. And instantly, it becomes almost, in a sense, competition to see who can sort of leave their mark in a greater degree. We're seeing this sometimes with trash, maybe not in a competition sense, or maybe not in trying to, perhaps leave your name, but we see things slowly escalating, starting from the smallest degree.
You know what? We want to talk about the broken window. Broken window, right? And we want to hit that, but we need to take a break. Let's take our first break. Stewards of Sedona's trail lovers Jason Danoff in studio today. We're talking about just garbage in Oak Creek Canyon and basically across the forest. Stick around, Countywide back in just a couple minutes.
Starting in the late 1920s, Grandpa Gettle and his brothers laid the groundwork for what would become a family legacy. Almost 100 years and 100 patents later, Gettle's High Desert Mechanical continues to raise the bar of quality heating, cooling, and plumbing products and services in the Verdi Valley.
Call Gettle's High Desert Mechanical Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing at 567-2200 or online at GettlesHDM.com, providing solutions for your comfort. Don't settle, get Gettles.
Hi, this is Greg at Verdi Solar Power. You know, Arizona has lots of clean, renewable sunshine, and we want to help you take advantage of it with our quality solar installations, and we offer to beat any written offer on a residential solar electric system. So bring us your electric bill and let us show you how solar power will save you money. We're located conveniently here in the Verdi Valley and are dedicated to helping the valley go solar. So remember, the energy solution comes up every morning.
So I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Orkin has pest control down to a science.
When your business chooses Orkin's Precision Protection Program, you get a tailored pest control program for your specific industry and environment.
Your business can benefit from over a century of experience, training, and scientific knowledge that define the Orkin man.
Maximum protection, minimum exposure, backed by one of the industry's most comprehensive guarantees.
Choose your locally owned and operated Northern Arizona Orkin and get more than an exterminator. Get an expert.
Welcome back to Countywide. Jason Danoff from Stewards of Sedona is in studio today. We're talking about trash in Oak Creek Canyon. The group formed just kind of on accident earlier this spring because of COVID-19, and it was a good way to get out and do something. But it is sad that people come to Sedona, Oak Creek Canyon, Coconino National Forest, anywhere you go, because you're I'm going to go hang out in that beautiful place all day. But then you leave your garbage behind. And that's always boggled me. And one of the excuses I heard once, Jason, was that, when you get out of your car in Oak Creek Canyon, sometimes you got to hike down a hill to get next to the creek. Well, at the beginning of the day, you're like, we're here. I've got an ice chest. I've got this ice chest. I got all these chairs, blankets. Well, by the end of the day, after you've been in the water all day and sitting in the sun, and you're hot and you're tired, now maybe you don't want to drag all that stuff back up the hill to the car, so a lot of it gets left behind. But that's just one scenario. You had the glass house approach, and I've had law enforcement come in here and talk about the broken window. It's the broken window, where one broken window on a street can lead to an entire street becoming just full of broken windows. So go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So one of the things that we notice and that has been discussed as part of that broken window theory is that a small indicator such as a broken window could lead to escalating forms of potentially threatening behaviors to a community. In a sense, it could start out in, say, in an urban scenario, it could be graffiti upon the side of a building and then eventually it leads to other forms of vandalism, eventually perhaps leads to burglarization, perhaps then it could lead to, even as far as, who knows, a murder, right? Like, the safety of a community becomes threatened. In this sense, in the outdoors, we see small indicators, things that might even just be something people don't even consider trash, biodegradable, something that we've been told most of our lives. You could leave an orange peel outside, you could leave a banana peel. Perhaps in other areas that aren't near water, because that can lead to E. coli. In scenarios where you also don't have creatures coming out of the top of the hillsides and mountains crossing the road, directly offering a threat to families driving through Oak Creek Canyon at relatively high speeds, considering how narrow that road is. Then even the likelihood of these creatures having, in some cases like bears, becoming involved in, they enjoy human food and suddenly they're walking through the middle of town, and unfortunately they don't relocate bears. They don't. They say a fed bear is a dead bear. So by leaving some of these small things in nature, we do see things slowly escalate. But then not only is it just animals liking the food and animals potentially defecating in the water, potentially poisonous snakes even following the squirrels and mice that are eating those tiniest biodegradable things sitting underneath the rock when we're recreating with our family. But perhaps even more, it's, people feel suddenly that they can sort of do what they want, or that there is no supervision. A lot of those items, such as the broken glass, the beer bottles, amazing amounts that we have found, by the way, these items, people don't want to get pulled over with them in their vehicle. And when there's not a trash can that's available in that area, they think, I'll just leave this here, because if I get pulled over, that's an instant DUI. So then we have people suddenly now driving down the road, perhaps more inebriated than they would be otherwise if there was more supervision. The threats add up very, very quickly in how people, as they feel more confident and they feel like there's less enforcement, suddenly their behaviors can become more and more threatening to all visitors and not just locals. People innocently driving through Oak Creek Canyon have a higher propensity suddenly of hitting animals. This year, we're seeing a huge increase in the amount of foxes, coyotes, squirrels, and even deer that have been hit in Oak Creek Canyon. And those numbers are surging as a result of directly from the items that are being left along the creek side. The E. coli numbers certainly they're always high, but they have been very high in some of those areas that normally they wouldn't be. Places such as that area near Shangri-La, Encinoso, those areas that are not exactly Slide Rock. Granted, below Slide Rock, I understand that, but even areas above it now, we're starting to see spikes in E. coli.
Okay.
I believe that the escalation of all of this is something that if we don't get a handle on it, with the numbers of tourism increasing, and they will inevitably continue to increase no matter what, people are going to want to be here. It's beautiful. But we do have to get a handle on it. And that's where this information is very, very important. It allows us to discern exactly how bad these problems are, who can be held accountable, who can receive maybe some coaching, and how the messaging can be improved to reach a broader group of people. Perhaps it's just developing better symbology and showing even in a circular way how what you leave here might actually wind up right back where you came from.
Okay. All right. Give us some of the numbers. You have numbers now. This is as of May?
Yeah, this is as of May 19th.
So this is pretty much the summer months.
Yeah.
The summer months.
And this is actually missing all of October so far. So it's missing a few events that I just haven't yet plugged together. So in terms of biodegradable foods, apple cores, we found 224 of those. We have found 676 orange peels. Again, thinking of these as the smallest trigger point. Then we, feminine hygiene products, not something that you want to be swimming next to. Mm-hmm. All these items, by the way, I should mention, they are found within 30 feet of Oak Creek. So 280 used tampons. We found 315 maxi pads, 468 diapers, 3,004 piles of toilet paper, and 2,192 wet wipes. Perhaps just as concerning and scary, broken glass in the water. That's something that can change your life.
Oh, sure. Definitely.
A terrible injury if you were to step on that. 1,788 glass beer bottles within 30 feet of Oak Creek, and 730 broken glass containers, broken glass bottles. We actually found an additional 102 broken glass containers right next to the water.
How often does the group get together and go
Every Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
Every Tuesday at 7 a.m. You guys get together. And where do you meet in Oak Creek Canyon? Or is it just Oak Creek Canyon? You do all of
We actually do Wet Beaver Creek.
Okay.
We do a lot of stuff also around the Chavez and Crescent Moon area. So we post every week where we're going. We're going to be going on a hiatus basically after next week as to prepare for some really cool upcoming projects. We're going to be putting together some glass shakers, and we're going to be checking out some areas where they were historic dump sites, where we find old shooting ranges, and we find just a landscape speckled by broken glass. In some cases also where we find lead, such as in the Cypress area along Dry Creek. This is an area that when flooding, literally the lead from the bullets gets within 5 feet of where the water floods. And we all know how the landscape itself sort of breaks down when we get a good rain. So this is actually allowing lead to go into Dry Creek and flood into the Verdi River. Dry Creek, Oak Creek, Verdi.
Sure.
And eventually
they all connect.
They do. And they eventually go to the recreational lakes in Phoenix as well.
Sure.
So these are the kinds of things that this has been like this since the early 1900s. Slowly, Sedona started to repurpose many of these sites. And yeah, we're finding that might be something when it's colder rather than being in Oak Creek Canyon at 7 o'clock. And we do consistently meet every day of the week in the canyon. We try to always do 7 o'clock, and we always try to do Tuesdays so as to collect a consistent sample.
Interesting. We got to take another break. All right. Stewards of Sedona, trail lovers, Jason Danoff in studio today. We're talking about just the goal of cleaning up Oak Creek Canyon and some of our outdoor areas around here. Stick around. Countywide back in just a couple minutes.
Starting in the late 1920s, Grandpa Gettle and his brothers laid the groundwork for what would become a family legacy. Almost 100 years and 100 patents later, Gettle's High Desert Mechanical continues to raise the bar of quality heating, cooling, and plumbing products and services in the Verdi Valley.
Call Gettle's High Desert Mechanical Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing at 567-2200 or online at GettlesHDM.com, providing solutions for your comfort. Don't settle. Get Gettles.
Hi, this is Greg at Verdi Solar Power. You know, Arizona has lots of clean, renewable sunshine, and we want to help you take advantage of it with our quality solar installations, and we offer to beat any written offer on a residential solar electric system. So bring us your electric bill and let us show you how solar power will save you money. We're located conveniently here in the Verdi Valley and are dedicated to helping the valley go solar. So remember, the energy solution comes up every morning.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Orkin has pest control down to a science.
When your business chooses Orkin's Precision Protection Program, you get a tailored pest control program for your specific industry and environment.
Your business can benefit from over a century of experience, training, and scientific knowledge that define the Orkin man.
Maximum protection, minimum exposure, backed by one of the industry's most comprehensive guarantees.
Choose your locally owned and operated Northern Arizona Orkin and get more than an exterminator. Get an expert.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a couple of minutes left with Jason Danoff from Stewards of Sedona. He's the owner of Trail Lovers, and this came about this spring, and you've got all kinds of people from all across the country, even the world possibly, that want to help out with cleanup in Oak Creek Canyon especially. Everybody comes here because it's so gorgeous, you know, in the Verdi Valley as well as Sedona. It's just this, some of this area, the Wild West feel, I think, is what brings a lot of people here. It's just got that Wild West feel to it. And anybody who watches the old Westerns will see a lot of the Verdi Valley and Sedona in those as well. Yeah. Volunteers. Do we need volunteers? Do you want volunteers? Volunteers that show up, do they bring their own gear? Do you have gear? How does this all work then?
We would like as many volunteers as possible. And not just for us, our hope as we're a community organization and not a nonprofit is to help people find areas where they can help. Whether it's Friends of the Forest, Keep Sedona Beautiful, Oak Creek Watershed Council, any of the many others, Red Rock Trail Fund, whether you're building trails, helping pick up trash, collecting water samples, or removing graffiti, we need help. Sedona needs help. Our SOS is the point of what we did here, and the effort there is to show that it's a desperate need for help. It's not just a light request. So yes, we meet every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Like I said, we will be going on a short hiatus. However, we'll be presenting some special opportunities that'll be coming up to do some really cool work in some historic dump sites and some areas that certainly need attention. We share a lot of information through Facebook, so we'll find that you can go to our Facebook events page, also traillovers.com, and check out Stewards of Sedona through there, where we'll have all of our recent postings for events. We certainly want to get people involved in how they can help out as well through education, and sometimes just even sharing that information at our events can help them share that with others, and that's ultimately how we're going to fix these issues. We need better education from the bottom up, from the youngest of ages, and even into those who might be accustomed to doing and behaving, and maybe they don't understand how the dramatic amount of traffic in this area so quickly stacks things differently than it would in other areas.
If everybody dropped a piece of trash right now on the ground would be covered with trash across the entire planet right now. Yeah. It's the same thing in the grocery store. If everybody goes in and takes one grape from that bag of grapes, by the end of the day, there are no grapes left. They're all gone. You can't do it. And I told you before the show, ever since I was a little kid watching Saturday morning cartoons, I have been told not to throw trash on the ground. Leave someplace better than it was when you got there. So,
but in the same capacity,
keep plugging away.
If people were to, instead of leaving, but if they were to take 6 pieces of trash, just each person who visits, one small effort to pick up 6 pieces of trash every time you went outside. It's not overwhelming. It can fit on the side pockets of your pack. We recommend that every person who visits the outdoors carries 3 trash bags. And this is 1 trash bag for you to use with your things anywhere you go. This is easy to put in any backpack, even if you're a trail runner. Next, also, we want people to have a total of, so they have 1 for themselves, they have 1 to give to another, and then they have 1 to store the items inside of their vehicle. And we would encourage people to make sure that they're taking things out and not leaving it in the Forest Service dumpsters, because that is a big problem. Unfortunately, a lot of this is accidental litter.
Okay, all right, we're out of time, Jason. But thank you for
pleasure.
coming in. Thank you for coming in, and then keep me on your email list. And when you've got your next event coming up, we'll go ahead and talk about it and get it out there for you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, that is today's Countywide. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening, and we will talk to you again next time.